Well, good morning. Well, hi. For those who do not know me, I'm Mr. Matroni, and I teach in the science department. Here we are, getting ready to start on December 3rd and start Advent. So, of course, when Mr. Kroenig asked me to do this talk, I think the reason was pretty clear. The definition of Advent is the arrival of a notable person, thing, or event. And just last October 18th was the birth of my latest granddaughter. So it makes sense. Drag out the old guy, have him gush over the grandchildren, and make a connection to the birth of Jesus and how we are all waiting in our own way for the advent of our own lives. So, of course, here is a picture of my latest grandchild, Saoirse, with my daughter Kate on the day of her birth. Yes, the name is Saoirse. S-A-O-I-R-S-E. It's an Irish name that means freedom, which, with this name, I think it means the freedom from being able to spell properly. You see that although my name is Matroni, I'm Irish on my mom's side, and my daughter is deeply tied to anything that is Irish. And the Irish have a habit of trying to put together as many vowels as they can together just to screw with people's minds. Now, Saoirse is my second granddaughter, and so I have to show you a picture of my first, and that's Josephine, and we call her Jo. And this is her with my wife, last Halloween, doing a craft together. You know that while I love my family and my grandchildren more than anything, it's not what I'm here to talk about today. No, today I want to talk to you about the true meaning of Christmas. Ladies and gentlemen, during this time and all the subsequent Christmases you will have in your life, there's always one thing you need to look at to determine whether or not you're having a successful Christmas, and it's all about the presents that you get. No, I'm totally serious. If you do not get good presents this Christmas, you should be pissed off and feel that you're totally gypped. For what is Christmas if it is not presents? Yep, that's right. I'm not talking about presents like a phone. No, I'm talking about that which has real and lasting meaning, and it's the presence of you to others and others to you. It is the reason for the season, as they say. So every year this Advent idea comes up, and as we grow, the Advent we have as a child becomes very different than the one we have as a young adult. As a child of 4, the preparation one has isn't getting the toy you want. This becomes replaced as you age, and before you know it, you become seniors. With the anticipation of a college acceptance and the realization that this is the last Christmas where your house is the home you stay at and not the one you visit on breaks. Your life is now suddenly before you, and whether you're a freshman or a senior, the years to graduation, independence, and living your own are fewer than the fingers on one hand. Life races on, and we're here for the ride. The question is, what do we do with the greatest ride in the world? Life. My suggestion is that you become really present to the life that you have been given. And as with any other journeys, you have to look back to where you've been to figure out where you're going. So where do we start? I'm a biology teacher, so I suggest with our DNA. Now, not a base-by-base analysis of what our DNA codes for, but rather an analysis of where our DNA comes from. And that is our ancestors. For you see that none of our DNA is truly our own. All of our DNA comes from those who passed before us, our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and so on. Each person in our lineage has literally given their lives so we could live, because our story is just like Christmas. It's a creation story. And just like in sports, when they say, next person up, it is our time to take the stage and carry the baton. But do you know the standard bearers who came before you? Are you present to the lives who truly live within you? For they are who make so much of who you are today, and they deserve to be known. We come from such varied backgrounds to now sit in this gym during this time of the advent of our lives. For example, could you please raise your hand if you have been born in some other country besides the United States? So put your hand up if you've been born in some country besides the United States. Now, as you guys keep your hands up, will the people who have a parent born in another country, please raise your hands? Interesting. Now, with those hands up, keep those hands up, please. Could we please have the people who have at least one grandparent that was born in another country? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, We truly are a land of immigrants, and the stories in this room, regardless of where you were born, are truly amazing. Each person in this gym represents a lineage of people who have at times have prospered and at other times have had great struggle to get to where you are sitting right now. And yet, do you know their stories? Which are in fact your story. I'm lucky because my father, who was a chemical engineer, was a fanatical record keeper and a person who took great pride in the journey of his family. He was a product of extremely poor immigrant parents from Italy that came through Ellis Island, and they grew up in the ghettos of Boston. Before he died, he wrote this book, which is the history of his life in the ghettos of Boston. And it was one of my most prized possessions. These are the stories of a time that is long gone, and yet which stays alive on these pages. And it's one of the greatest treasures that I possess because they keep him alive within me. He shaped my journey in so many ways. With family, it's not a question of nature or nurture, because it's both. Today, I'm a science teacher because that is what I love. My father was also a teacher. So did I have a choice? Who knows? But I know I was heavily influenced by him. For example, this is a ledger he kept of all the Christmas presents and their prices that were ever given from 1954 to 1990. And as I said, he was a fanatical record keeper. What is interesting is that I come from a family of 7 kids, and I'm the only scientist. What is more interesting is, starting when I was 6 years old, pretty much every year, I got some gift that was associated with science. And I was the only kid that ever received a science present. I have the records to prove it. Here's the ledger from when I was in 8th grade. And you can see out of the 4 presents I received, the most expensive one by far is a chemistry set. It was $20, which for my family was a lot of money. By the way, just a quick aside, giving a fully functional chemistry set to an 8th grade boy with little supervision is not a good idea. This is one reason why I'm so tight in labs today. I know what can happen. From gyroscopes to models, the human body to magnets to microscopes, each year science was a major part of my gifts. Was it my innate interest in science? Was it nurture? I don't know. But I do know that it was out of the love my folks had for me, and it certainly influenced where I am today, and I'm forever grateful for that. We are part of the procession of those who came before us, and the creation story that marks all of our lives. But with life, there must also come death, and that is part of the story as well. Just like in the reading, John the Baptist knows his time is limited, and he sets the stage for the next. Bodies age and decay, and time and circumstance will take us all. I say this not to be a downer, but to be a realist. That is why we must celebrate life, and when we have it, and be present to all that is around us, and to cherish that time that we have. Our community has seen this, as so many awesome people have left us in just the last few years. Creation's ending too soon, and it seems so unfair. But the fact of the matter is that fairness has nothing to do with it. Life is just life, and death is just death. And neither of these are rarely under our control, and so we must cherish the time which we have and be present to all that it offers, because you never know when it will pass. For example, here is a picture. Here's a picture from my folks during a family reunion in 1999. Now, you can't tell from the picture, but it was taken 1 week before my mom died of cancer during her last family reunion. She contracted an aggressive lung cancer, and we quickly organized a reunion because her only wish was that she had, with her time left, was to be surrounded by family. While this was a time of great sorrow, the reality was that during these days, the real theme was joy and celebration. It was my mom's example of how to be present to life, and that is one of the greatest influences in my life. So during this time of Advent and Christmas, take the time to know those who have made you literally who you are today. Know those who have shaped you in ways you hardly even know. These people who have loved, sacrificed, and at times fought with you. Their bodies will not get any younger, and the time that you have left is always one day shorter than the one before it. The true tragedy is not that there is death, but rather is that we don't take advantage of life. And what is the evidence for that? Well, it's in our theme song. Love is the evidence. Embrace those that are around you and have the greatest presents you can get during these holidays. Oh, one more thing. I told you about Saoirse's name, but I didn't mention anything about Joe's. Well, Joe's full name, as she will proudly tell you, is Josephine Claire Fish. Joe from the book Little Women, that my daughter adores. Fish is her family name from her father. And Claire? It's my mom's name. In so many ways, we're able to triumph over death because ours is a story about creation, not death. And that little Josephine Clare has within her the DNA and life of greatness, my mother. And that is an Advent that is totally worth celebrating. During this time, celebrate your own lineage, your own life, your own creation, because it truly is your Advent, your time to shine. Thank you.